MDS is with us now. We're ready to hand out the awards from Week 8 of the 2021 season. MDS, you're away with Offensive Player of the Week.
You heard Robert Saleh. Mike White is my man. He joined Cam Newton as the only quarterbacks in NFL history to pass for 400 yards in their first career starts. It was also the Jets' first 400-yard game since Vinny Testaverde had one 21 years ago. There's a long list of Jets quarterbacks who never passed for 400 yards in a game. Guys like Mark Sanchez and Geno Smith and a whole bunch of others since Vinny Testaverde. But I thought White looked poised. He didn't get shaken by a couple of early interceptions that really weren't his fault. I still doubt White is actually going to be the starter once Zach Wilson is healthy. But for one game, I think he played as well as they possibly could have hoped for.
We had something called Tight End Day a couple weeks ago. I think that last Sunday should have been Backup Quarterback Day, and I think we all have backup quarterbacks on our list here. I picked Cooper Rush. Nobody expected him to do what he did against the Vikings in his first career start. And frankly, my question is, if he was this good, passing for over 300 yards, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, why didn't the Cowboys use him last year when they started Andy Dalton, Garrett Gilbert, and for God's sake, Ben DiNucci in that horrible game against the Eagles last year? Why didn't they start Cooper Rush, Mike?
Yeah, it's a great point, and maybe they wish they had in hindsight, but I don't think anybody would have made a difference last year because the team wasn't nearly as good overall as it is this year. The Seahawks not as good this year as they were last year, but, they looked so bad last Monday night against the Saints. They had 6 days to turn it around to host the Jaguars. The Jaguars had 2 weeks to get ready. The Jaguars were coming off of their first win of the season, their first win in 20 games. I thought Geno Smith and company would have trouble. Geno Smith proved me wrong. 20 for 24, 195 yards, a pair of touchdowns, a 128.3 passer rating. He had a touchdown on the ground as well. Connected with Tyler Lockett 12 times for 142 yards. And I know it was just the Jaguars, but everything about that situation pointed toward an upset. The line was only 3 points. People sensed that the Jaguars were in position to potentially make it interesting, and the Seahawks slammed the door in their faces thanks to Geno Smith, so I got to give him some credit. All right, Defensive Player of the Week. MDS, who do you have?
Well, I'll stay in Seattle and go with linebacker Bobby Wagner. He's 31 years old and maybe on the downside of his career, but I've been impressed with how he and the Seahawks defense have stepped up to keep them competitive since Russell Wilson got hurt. In that blowout win over the Jaguars, Wagner was credited with 14 total tackles. Wagner has played every single defensive snap for the Seahawks in every single game this season. He's playing at a higher level than I think most people expected from him at this point in his career. And the Seahawks defense was really bad early in the season, but I think Bobby Wagner has kind of led the way in getting this Seahawks defense playing a little bit better.
I'm going to go with Adrian Phillips. And, he spent 2014 to 2019 with the Chargers, played 66 games with them, then left to sign with the Patriots. He's now 2-0 against his former team in 2 years, and he turned in a magnificent game. 2 interceptions turned into 11 points for the Patriots in that game. For his first touchdown in 8 NFL seasons, he had the pick 6. He already has 3 picks this year. That's the most in a single season in his career, Mike.
And I am going to go with Randy Gregory, the Cowboys defensive end, who was caught in the gears of the substance abuse policy for a long time. He's one of the guys who got forgotten, frankly, by the league and the union in early 2020 when they revamped the substance abuse policy, and it was Randy Gregory, Josh Gordon, Martavis Bryant, Justin Blackmon, who we've heard was trying to get back in. Gregory's back, and Gregory is wreaking havoc. And I think one of the reasons why Kirk Cousins looked so bad on Sunday night was because he was constantly aware of where Randy Gregory was, and he's getting it done without DeMarcus Lawrence there. And boy, they get DeMarcus Lawrence back. And if he can get back to the form that got him his big contract, Cowboys defense could be even better than it is now. Team could be even better than it is now. All right, Rookie of the Week time, MDS. Who do you have?
I have 49ers running back Elijah Mitchell, who ran for 137 yards against the Bears, and gave me another opportunity to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is if you're going to draft a running back, it needs to be late in the draft. The 49ers traded up in the 3rd round to take running back Trey Sermon. Then they took Mitchell in the 6th round, and Mitchell has significantly outplayed Sermon this year. Mitchell had a big game against the Bears, who, by the way, had their own rookie 6th round running back in Khalil Herbert. It is those late round picks where value is found at the running back position, and Elijah Mitchell is just the latest running back to demonstrate that.
We don't pick many defensive players for our Rookie of the Week, but when we do, the one name stands out, and that's Micah Parsons. And I think you can probably, barring injury, write his name for Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's playing just like at the 12th overall pick. He was upset about the way he played against the Patriots. He came back. He had 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and a quarterback hit against the Vikings. He was magnificent. He was a big reason that the Vikings only had 278 yards, a big reason that Dalvin Cook had only 78 yards on 18 carries. He played 97% of the snaps. The Cowboys have invested a whole lot in that linebacker position, and he has been the best one of all those guys they have drafted high up in the draft. He's terrific. He's going to be an all-pro player, it looks like, in the future, Mike.
You know, even though the 49ers beat the Bears on Sunday, Justin Fields was sufficiently good to make 49ers fans, I believe, and of course they don't like it when we say it, but I believe they're worried that they got the wrong guy. And the one play that reminded me of former 49ers quarterback Steve Young running through the Vikings defense, it was actually 33 years almost to the day. 10/30/88 was Young, 10/31/2021 was Justin Fields running around and through and creating that moment where you're like, hey, maybe this guy is going to be pretty good. All right, last topic, Coach of the Week, MDS. Who do you have?
Packers coach Matt LaFleur had, I thought, his single best game from a game planning and play calling perspective when you consider what a good opponent they were up against in Arizona and how ravaged by injuries the team was. LaFleur is now 33-7 in his first 40 regular season games as a head coach. That's the best start ever in the Super Bowl era. And, you know, when we posted that at PFT, some of our commenters were saying things like, oh, any coach could win with Aaron Rodgers. Well, guess what? The year before Matt LaFleur got there, Aaron Rodgers started all 16 games, and the Packers went 6-9-1. I think if Rodgers ends up playing for another coach next year, he may find that the grass is not greener away from Green Bay.
I'm going to go with Sean Payton / Dennis Allen, and I tried to go with one or the other, but both of them were too important to that victory over the Buccaneers. And they figured out Tom Brady in the regular season, 3-0 now against him, and none of those games have been close. They lost Jameis. Trevor Siemian comes in, and Sean Payton does what Sean Payton does. He helps the quarterback be his best, and we saw that with Trevor Siemian. And then Dennis Allen, with what he's doing with that Saints defense, has been unbelievable. You think just back a few years ago, Mike, we were all talking about how terrible that Saints defense is. It's not terrible anymore. It's really carrying this team.
And, you know, for whatever reason, Dennis Allen has received little or no consideration for another head coaching opportunity after he flamed out fairly quickly with the Raiders. But he stabilized the Saints defense, and his name never comes up.
Never.
It just never comes up. It's amazing to me that it never comes up at all. And, you know, Mike Shanahan was a failed Raiders head coach who went on to do pretty good things when he got his second chance. Maybe Dennis Allen gets one at some point. My coach of the week, Mike LaFleur, not Matt LaFleur, but Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator of the Jets, putting together the game plan that fueled, to go back to where we started, Mike White's performance. And Mike LaFleur quietly went up to the booth, had been on the sidelines, decided to go up to the booth, and apparently it worked because he helped work Mike White to that 400-yard passing effort, only the second time, as MDS mentioned, in league history. All right, we're going to take a break. MDS, thanks as always for joining us.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.